Welcome to DermTV Viewer Questions for August 2014. Today's episode will feature questions from DermTV YouTube viewers as well as DermTV.com viewers. Hello, I'm Dr. Neil Schultz, and welcome to DermTV. Today's first question comes from YouTube viewer CookieBear99. I was wondering if it's okay to wear a moisturizer with SPF at night. Even if it's not as hydrating, I was wondering, would it clog pores? CookieBear99, if it's going to clog pores at night, it's going to clog pores during the day. So any moisturizer, any sunscreen that you're using should be one that's not going to clog pores. And nobody gets arrested for using a moisturizer at bedtime that just happens to have a sunscreen in it. The fact it has a sunscreen in it should not be the issue as to whether it's going to clog. It's really the vehicle of the moisturizer that's clogging. So as long as your moisturizing sunscreen is suitable to use during the day, you can wear it at bedtime as your moisturizer. Jessica Yu asks, what is the best amount of SPF needed for face and body? She's actually referring to the value of the SPF. I've heard that after a certain SPF number, for instance 50, that it doesn't protect your skin more than a 25 would. Is this true? Jessica, at 15, you get about 93% protection. At 30, you get about 97% protection. At 50 to 60, you have 99% protection. Going higher than that isn't going to give you any more protection. But quite frankly, I don't know the difference in how it protects you between a 97% like a 30 and a 99% like a 50 or 60. So I'm not quite sure that there's any need to ever go much above a 30, but certainly not above 50 or 60. Danica asks, progressive exfoliation. Can you over-exfoliate? Is using glycolic every day dangerous? Well, regardless of what you're using for exfoliation, you can over-exfoliate. If you overdo it, use too much, use too high of a strength. In progressive exfoliation that I described in the episode, you're not going to get irritated because of the progressive nature of increasing the strength of the glycolic. That's the whole point. It's like going to the gym. You don't start at 100 pounds, you start at 10 pounds and work your way up. That's why in progressive exfoliation there is no irritation. Is using glycolic every day dangerous? No, not if it's pH buffered and chemically balanced, as long as it's an appropriate strength and you're building your way up. You're much more apt to over-exfoliate when you're using physical exfoliation because people tend to overdo it thinking if a little is good, more is better. Monica Meghay asks, I have a question about sunscreen. Which sunscreen is better? One that contains zinc oxide as the ingredient, because some sunscreens have 4% zinc oxide and it's an SPF of 60, or some have 19% zinc oxide. What percent of zinc oxide should we look for in a sunscreen to get proper protection? Please compare Neutrogena Sensitive Skin Sunscreen, which has natural ingredients and 4.7% zinc and 4.9% titanium. Can that offer proper protection, or high percent of zinc oxide is the high percent much more important? Monica, don't get involved in the percentages of the ingredients. That is the role of the FDA. They made this real easy for all of us because they put an SPF on it. Don't try to add percents of zinc or percents of titanium. All you're interested in is the SPF. And just as I mentioned before, any SPF of 30 or higher is going to be just great. I prefer chem-free sunscreens, which are the ones with the zinc and titanium. I think they are more effective than traditional carbon-based sunscreens. But again, don't get caught up in the percent of the ingredients. All you need to do is see that it says a specific SPF of at least 30, and of course, UVA or broad spectrum protection. Let's go to DermTV.com viewers and their questions for this month. Reagan asks, can men use the same anti-aging and anti-hyperpigmentation products as women? Of course they can. Absolutely, yes. There is no reason why they can't. Now, in general, women tend to like heavier products or more moisturizing products. But as long as it's not too heavy for your skin, there's no reason you can't use products that are advertised for women's skin. Max asks, does applying liquid products such as primer, tinted moisturizer, foundation, things like that, on top of sunscreen dilute or weaken your SPF? Max, that's a really good question. And certainly after you put your sunscreen on, you want to give it a few minutes to set and dry. But if the next product you're putting on is too liquid, I mean, obviously it can wash off some of your sunscreen. So you have to use your judgment. But most products that are like primers or tinted moisturizers are not going to be that runny, so that they'll actually wash off the sunscreen. And if you put them on properly, carefully, and remember less is more, you shouldn't do anything to dilute the value or decrease the value of your SPF. Wendy asks, can you please discuss IPL laser treatments? What is it? How does it work? Is it effective for small veins or brown pigment spots? Is it safe? Can it damage the skin? Some people claim their skin has been injured by IPL and have posted photographs online showing their injuries. What factors should be considered when considering IPL treatment? Wendy, this is real easy. IPL is a form of a medical device that has filtered visible light that can be very effective at helping take away brown spots and helping take away red spots and broken capillaries. But like any other medical device, even though it's effective in one person's hands, it can be problematic in somebody else's. So you want to get a referral from a friend or from somebody who's had the procedure done, wherever you're thinking of having it done, to make sure that they were satisfied with their treatment. When IPL is done properly, it's a great technique. I do it in my office every day for browns, for reds, for facial rejuvenation, even for laser hair removal purposes. So don't let the reports that you've seen online about IPL scare you away. It's a very good technique. And our last question today is from Linda. Dr. Schultz, I'm using Retin-A at night and vitamin C in the morning. I have two questions. If I'm working in front of a computer all day, do I need to reapply sunblock every 2 hours? Linda, no, you don't. You don't need to reapply it if you're indoors and you're not sweating, particularly if you're wearing makeup, because if your makeup is still intact, then clearly your sunscreen is still intact. Your second question, if I am in an office with the windows right behind me, do I need to reapply sunblock every 2 hours? Again, it's the same answer. No, you don't. Not as long as you're not sweating or doing other things that would cause your sunscreen to come off. Reapplying sunscreen every 2 to 3 hours is really for when you're outdoors and physically active. And of course, it should also be reapplied after swimming and after sweating, immediately after both of those. But when you're in your office, please make sure you reapply your sunscreen before you leave the office to go out for lunch or before going home at the end of the day if it's still daylight. So that's it for this month's Viewer Questions. And don't forget, the subjects from so many DermTV episodes come from your questions, which are great. So please keep sending them in, and I'll keep answering as many of them as I can. Please join me again at dermtv.com. If you have a question, please send it to me by visiting dermtv.com/question. I'm Dr. Neil Schultz, and thank you for watching today.